We begin tonight with the government shutdown rocking the DMV. For the first time in nearly 7 years, hundreds of thousands of federal workers are furloughed. And
it looks like this one won't end anytime soon. Senators already leaving Washington. They're expected to be back later on in the week, but we do have live team coverage for you. Tom Fitzgerald and Katie Barlow looking at the impacts on businesses and people. We're going to start, though, with Homa Bash in the newsroom. And Homa, now we know that the waiting is going to continue until at least Friday.
That's right, guys. We're expecting that other vote coming on Friday. We're hearing senators have already left D.C. They won't be reconvening tomorrow out of respect for the Yom Kippur holiday. And in the last few hours, yet another vote failed, the third one, which means the shutdown stalemate is still on. Democrats are holding firm on the party's demands to fund health care subsidies, while blame from both sides is being tossed around Capitol Hill.
Whatever those disagreements are, you don't shut down the government over it. For the first time since the Democrats have been in politics, they're now saying that unless we get every policy item that we demand, we're going to shut down the people's government. They're trying to take a hostage, and we're not going to let them.
Now, the latest GOP-led funding bill would have kept the government operations open through November 21st. It failed 55 to 45. Senators also voted 53 to 47 against a Democratic proposal that would have linked funding to their health care priorities through October. There is a 60-vote threshold here that is needed to advance a stopgap funding bill. The issue here are tax credits that have made health insurance available through the Affordable Care Act to millions of people since the COVID pandemic. Those credits are set to expire at the end of the year if Congress doesn't extend them, which Democrats say is unacceptable.
If Donald Trump wants to negotiate in good faith and address this issue of the crisis in health care, which they largely helped cause in their so-called big, beautiful bill. But if they want to talk about it, that's what we've said we want to do.
I've got more than 50,000 federal workers in my district, in Maryland's beautiful 8th congressional district. The overwhelming number of federal workers I've heard from have been telling me, and I believe my colleagues have had the same experience, we must hang tough for the health care rights of the people.
Now, the latest vote did show some cracks in the Democrats' resolve to Dems voting for the GOP legislation. Still not enough, though, for a breakthrough. Again, 60 votes needed to pass a stopgap bill, and the next vote is expected to come on Friday.
With so many offices closed and paychecks stopped, there's a lot of fear and uncertainty for federal workers over what's next. Tom Fitzgerald's live on the Hill right now with more on how those workers are reacting.
Jim, good evening. You talk to these federal workers and they'll tell you they are deeply disappointed that Democrats and Republicans in the Senate couldn't get together to avoid this shutdown. But that disappointment right now is being overtaken by household concerns. How are they going to pay housing costs, rents, mortgages, utility bills, that kind of thing? And also the big question among a lot of feds right now, how long is this going to last? The Congressional Budget Office is estimating right now that some 750,000 federal employees are going to be furloughed as a result of this shutdown, and they do not know how long it's going to last, but they do know D.C., Maryland, Virginia, that is the region that houses the most federal employees and is due to see the biggest economic impact from those lost wages. Now, federal workers tell Fox 5 today they are worried, and right now they just do not know how much of an impact this is going to be on their own household budget.
When we get paid in 2 weeks, that's it. Because if they don't open back up, I got a 2 days pay.
It's hard seeing so many colleagues go. So the whole year already, it's been terrible.
There are feds and military who live paycheck to paycheck, some who are also on food stamps, and it's going to impact them.
Meanwhile, Maryland Governor Wes Moore today ordered state agencies to work with private sector companies in order to expand emergency assistance to federal workers who are currently being furloughed and are losing wages. For their part, the Republicans here today said that Democrats, if they wanted to, could end this shutdown now. All they have to do is simply vote to reopen the government.
There are hundreds of thousands of federal workers who are getting their furlough notices. Nearly half of our civilian workforce is being sent home. These are hardworking Americans who work for our federal government.
We are working with the private sector to shield federal workers impacted by this shutdown from eviction, foreclosure, and utility shutoffs.
All right, so clearly a lot of moving parts here right now, but one of the big concerns for these furloughed federal workers right now is that they do not become fired federal workers, and that is a big concern because the Office of Personnel Management head, Russell Vought, recently indicated that the federal government could move to permanently fire some of these employees if their program funding elapsed, and that happened at midnight this morning.
D.C. restaurant owners say they feel like they're fighting one battle after another, from immigration crackdowns to the federal takeover and now a government shutdown.
Yeah, and they're concerned about what the shutdown means for the industry. Our chief legal correspondent, Katie Barlow, speaking to restaurant owners today. Katie?
Hey, good evening, guys. Diane Gross, who owns Cork Wine Bar here on 14th Street and also serves as chair of the board for the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington, says it's death by 1,000 cuts. Restaurant owners say that they went into this federal shutdown already on their back foot from the federal takeover and recent crackdown on immigration.
I think that a lot of workers are scared to come to work. I think that there's just been a lot of fear generally in the hospitality community amongst the staff. And then, you know, I just think the city feels, people are feeling it in the city, and we're not getting as much foot traffic. We're not getting as many people coming out.
Gross says that several of her employees are federal workers who either got fired during recent reductions in force or are trying to make some extra cash to make ends meet. She's worried for her staff if the shutdown continues much longer. Gross says restaurants typically have 13 days or so of cash reserves, but those reserves are already down this year after a slower than average summer. Busboys and Poets owner Andy Shalal comes to the table seasoned with the experience of 20 years in the restaurant business in D.C. He says he has learned to accept the unexpected, and while he hopes the shutdown ends soon, his focus is on providing community to people who need it right now.
I received an email from somebody saying that they want to start a group kind of meetup for people that have been laid off to meet here on a regular basis until the shutdown is over. So we're considering that. We have private rooms in the back of each one of our locations. It's a perfect spot for that kind of a gathering.
Yeah.
And I think people need to be in community at this time.
Ironically, the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington launched a new campaign today called Together We Dine, aimed at supporting restaurants facing what they call unprecedented challenges. The campaign is in response to drops in sales in August. RAMW survey shows that 71% of D.C. restaurants reported sales drops, and nearly 3/4 saw a decline in diners compared to last year. Now, Cork Wine Bar here on 14th Street, like many restaurants across the city right now, have specials for federal workers. They're doing happy hour prices if you're able to show your federal ID.